I didn't come up with it. Anthony did. He was over, and we were going to do some turning, and he saw this real small little ornament that my wife had on the thing. We were going to put on the tree, and he said, "Well, why don't we make a bigger one?" So we did, and it involved just making a bell and a base, but it's a creche set, and so I carved out the manger, some stuff in the manger, some grass leading up to it, and then just surface decorated some stone around the bottom.
I have to confess, I made this in October, November after Aaron's demonstration, when he demonstrated making a box within a box. But I put some texturing on the outside, so it qualified for this month as well. But what I did, I guess it qualifies. Okay, it makes great. Anyway, the outside, I have a tree at the top of my driveway that is a maple tree, and the leaves turn kind of a burnt red color that depicted by these leaves. The outside is made out of maple. It was turned between centers, those pieces. And the inside of the box is Paduke. So you have to turn two spheres, one that fits in another sphere, and then hollow it out. And it was turned off with this piece of Paduke. The holder for the piece is a manzanita root burl that I've brought in before. I've had it for a while, and these are buckeyes that I beat the squirrels to pick them up, so it doesn't roll around when you set it in the buckeyes. And it was a centerpiece for our table in the fall, which made sense at the time, but now it's winter, so I don't know.
I don't know why I keep doing this. Everybody else is a heck of a lot better than mine. I started about a year ago, and this is the first time I did an offset turning on purpose. What I wanted to do was create a dress for the lady, and I saw a project over there that was a man standing up, just thin little offset turning. I said, I want to try that, and so I did this. This is what is this? Walnut from my backyard. Created the dress, the outline of a young lady. I wanted this to be a hat, but I'm not done turning it yet. And the carving kind of looks like something from Walking Dead. That's it. And I wanted the dress to be a period, I guess the early 1800s. So it's still a work in progress, but so am I.
I'm not sure what issue it was, but you open up the first page and it's got a gallery of somebody's turnings, and I saw this. He had several different vases that were a lot bigger than this, and he textures them and then he paints them with milk paint. And in his case, he could use anywhere from 4 to 7 different colors. I've got 3 different colors, and then you sand back, and as you start sanding back the colors, the paints, then you get different colors, and some of them you'll get like almost like a target effect, and it just really enticed me. Okay, I got to figure out how to do this. Well, I tried it, and I think my dimples weren't quite deep enough, so the paint would fill in. So that's why in some areas you don't have any dimples at all. His pieces all had total. Everything was covered, and one piece had more kind of like raindrop type effect, and then another piece had nothing but just dots, and it just okay, I'm going to try it. So this is the piece that I came up with, and it turned out pretty good.
Hey everybody, my name's Phil. I've been a member for a while, but it was the first time I've done a challenge, so. Good job, Phil. Thanks. It was a lot of fun because I had some really grand ideas of what I wanted to do, and I made a couple things that were horrible, and my wife told me so I left them at home. But a while back, she asked me to make a avocado bowl for making like guacamole, so I can make a bowl, so I did that, and then I used a Dremel tool just to make some indents on the bottom there so that you can crush your garlic and your everything, all your seasonings you want right in there. And then I made this little guy out of hickory thinking it could work together as kind of a mortise and pestle type situation. And I usually do functional stuff, so I don't do a whole lot of like decoration. So working with a Dremel tool and trying to figure this out was kind of fun and challenging, and ended up having to redo the outside of the bowl a couple times as I was figuring that out. So the bowl was a little bit heavier before. And if I do it again, I'll probably do a different shape, one that's a little bit easier to hold so you can actually crush all your stuff in there and mash it all up. But if anybody needs a cocktail, you can use the same thing as well. It's got a little bit, same thing on the end right there for use too. So there you go.
I didn't know that Anthony was actually going to use dogwood when I made this, because it's a dogwood blossom on maple. And then I cut back the background to it. And it was fun to do. Enjoyed working with the tools. That's it.
I took this extremely serious. This is Dave. This piece has been sitting in my shop for about a year, and I finally put Alumilite to fill up the crack. And then for this challenge, I wood burned it in because I don't have any carving tools. And I don't trust myself with carving tools. I don't have any holes.
I always wanted to make a Coke bottle, so there it is. I got to carve my lines down, but could have done better. Next time maybe I will.
I turned a piece of apple wood that's from my farm, and then I carved with a Dremel. And inspiration was from cast iron trivet. And we had chickens when I grew up, and I usually had pet chickens. That's it.
When the challenge came around, I already had a captive ring mug that I had made purposefully a couple of ridges on, and I used those ridges and turned them into flowers and petals, and the stem was a little thick, but then I carved it into some leaves kind of growing up over there, and that was my attempt.
Okay. This is a pepper mill that I made quite some time ago, and I wasn't happy with it. So I thought I was going to carve on it a little bit, and I wanted to make it a little smaller in diameter and give it some so you could get traction on it. So anyway, I carved all this part, burned some lines in here and everything. Wanted to see what it looked like. Took forever with anyway. I think it's okay, but I still haven't put the mechanism in it yet. I still haven't, not sold on it. But it was fun carving on it, and you get to see how long it takes to do something and how easy or difficult it is. I'd rather turn than carve. That's my story.
Okay. I tried with the Dremel. I tried wood burning. I tried all kinds of different tools to do a surface decoration. So I ended up using a machine and came up with the logo. So I put a laser logo on the bottom of my bowl.
As you know, we've had a lot of snow, and so I had a little trouble coming up with a lot of enthusiasm to do this project for a challenge, but I decided, well, it's a carving tool I was best at was a chainsaw. And so I have a little circular chainsaw that, it's a cutter, it's a carving tool really, but these are my bird tracks in the snow.
All right. I think that is, everybody had a chance that's got an item on the challenge table? If so, we got a drawing for a nice Kevin Neely tool, hollowing tool with a curved end.
If you're not careful, that could become a funnel tool.
It could be a funnel tool. I need an impartial. Charlie, you've never done me wrong. Can you pick a number? Our winner is
388-9927.
9927. Who we got? All right, Mike. See what happens. Luck comes your way when you're not the president anymore.
Hey, that's worth it.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, keeping this thing rolling, and we're going to get through this as quickly as possible, but we got some beautiful show and tell items. So if you've got a show and tell item, please come up here. Oh, actually, before we get to that, I'm going to just let you all go back. You know what you signed up for back there on the silent auction items. So before you leave, make sure you check and see if your number's the last phone number on there. See Kevin and take your prize home. Show and tell items are, and I did want to mention, if anybody hasn't had a chance to see Stuart's box that he turned, his Asian style box with a lot of decorations on it, please take a look. And if you feel so obliged, put a bid down. All right, going to the show and tell. Kevin, get up there and show them what you do. Thanks, everybody, for the challenge. Everybody that participated in the challenge, appreciate that.
All right, I made a little lighthouse. My wife and I are from New Jersey, and she loves lighthouses. Mike had brought in, what kind of wood was this, Mike? Manzanita. It's a shrub, bush, something like that. And it wasn't very big, so I made a base, put the lighthouse in it. My wife kind of liked it, so I wanted to make her a bigger one. This does light up, but you can't see it. It's not very bright. So I decided I was going to make a bigger one. Now this is made out of walnut from my backyard. It was all one piece. Didn't know it at the time, but it had rotted out on the inside. So when I was cutting the top, it kind of blew apart. So made a separate piece out of oak and got it to light up. This here was part of the original design. That got damaged. I ended up cutting that off, made the tenon for this, and this is made out of Purple Heart. And I guess this could have gone for that challenge too, because I carved out all the little holes. Well, which brought me to going through my scrap wood, this being a piece that really wasn't big enough to do anything with, same as what the lighthouse was. I went through my scrap bin and pulled out a bunch of stuff. This cedar was from Effie. Effie brought in a nice cedar chunk on Saturday and left behind the scraps. So I made little boxes out of all the scrap. I even made little bridges. I got some in my pocket. This is also out of a piece of oak that came with this piece of oak, which was split down the center. I ended up cutting it down. So I made a little castle, and this was from a piece of scrap coming off of the cedar that really couldn't be used for anything, so I made a flag out of it. So I wanted to see what I could do with wood that you really couldn't use, and I made stuff you really can't use.
Okay, we cut down an elm tree in our yard earlier this year, and I had a limb that was about this big around, about this long. I made like 5 of these vases, and this was made from the cutoffs from that. There's 5 different pieces from that limb, and I added some solid surface here, and I colored it. My usual PVC pipe in the middle, so you can just put water right in it and put your flower in it. Came out pretty good. Foxy?
All right, in keeping with the winter snow theme, I made a few snowmen. These are visible there. These are just made out of Bradford pear, and then I think about a year ago somebody had suggested using Phoebing's leather dye, and so that's what I dyed the hats out of. This one he melted, so it was just a hat there. So there were 3, but one melted. So thanks.
I made this vase from diamond wood with sycamore, so it's actually 3 parts or more than 3 parts. I hollowed the bottom, added those diamond ring, and then did hollowed the top part. And another piece that I made with the spalted nice color. And the next thing is this. I don't know if you can see that, Jack. Okay, can you zoom in? So this one is a toothpick. I don't know if you can see it. Okay, with this, yeah, I can zoom in more. Okay, that's it. oops. So that's a toothpick, and then I made a lidded box with a toothpick, and this is threaded, as you can see, and I want to recognize the teacher that taught me to make this, and this is Anthony. He had a lot of patience to show me how to make it. I had fun making it. It's once you make one, you see that it's not too hard to make it. Just need patience. So thank you, Anthony.
This was my offset turning. I noticed Anthony said to turn as fast as you can. This didn't go very fast, so I had to go back to my geometry to lay it out. And this is mystery wood. I think it's oak. I know the lid is walnut, and I'm not sure what the handle is made out of. It is finished with tung oil, and so that's my box. This is I had a piece of cherry burl that a friend had brought back from Wisconsin, and it sat around for 2-3 years. I was lacking any inspiration, so I finally made it into a little hollow form, and then finished the inside to look like birch or aspen, to do something a little bit different.
My daughter being a chef, naturally I started making kitchen things. This is a magnetic closing salt cellar. And, Salt cellar. As opposed to a wine cellar? Oh, or you can sell salt. By the seashore. Okay. And then I did some very limited texturing on the bottom, and I have no idea what kind of wood it is. But I liked it.
Well, they took a tree down at work, and it sat there in the driveway for a long time, and finally I just picked up a piece of it and made that. Not sure what it is, but it looks real good.
Excuse me. I also had some cherry burl, and these were from the same log, but finished with different finishes. So this is a general finish, high performance, water based. So it shows the original color of what the wood looks like. It doesn't add any yellowing or anything. This is Behlen's in the spray can, and they were both finished without anything other than just those finishes on them. So you can compare the same wood with different finishes. This is a satin, and this is a glossy.
Well, I have for quite a while been looking for a burl that is box elder. And so a friend on the phone said, I've got a piece.
would you like to have it? And I said, sure. So then I proceeded to go from something that was like this with a lot of holes in it to something that still has a hole in it. But nevertheless, it's just a tung oil finish on it, and I didn't like how it turned out exactly, but I like the colors, like the texture. And once you make a hole, I sort of get to that place that says, you just stopped. So a little sanding and fix it up. So, but it's my first burl, and I like the textures on them. My wife says, that's ugly. Okay, you're entitled to your opinion. But you're right, dear. But on the other hand, this is a project that really had about a year's duration. The luck was I went to a garage sale and I found this much of it. And I thought, that is a neat piece of something. I ought to do something with that. So it's set for at least 3/4 of a year. And then we got into this tall form spalted thing, and I was thinking about a rock, a spaceship and all that. But the reality was it was just a right-sized piece to do this. It's spalted oak like we've seen on several other pieces. So now I have a whole series of tall forms. And so the trick is this is hollowed completely to the bottom. It's right at 17.5 inches, I think. It's about a 1/2 inch thick, and it's uniform. So I'm right happy with how that turned out. And I've got some 7/16 inch rods, 24 inches long, that have a nut threaded on the end of them with 2 set screws through the nut faces and drilled through 1/4 inch. And you can put your sanding items on those long rods, and that's how you sand the inside. At least that's how I did this. And this is tung oil, and I'm, finished this a couple of times because the wood moves. And I wouldn't be surprised in 6 months if it isn't moved and might need another sanding and some more oil. But I'm real happy with how it turned out. So.
Is that our challenge? Is that our show and tell? Okay. So I think that gets us through our show and tell. Gets me through my first meeting. I appreciate all of you sticking around and listening to everybody and me. Next month challenge is a scoop of any form. And I think that's, what was there? Oh, I wanted to announce, see if we've got our winning bid on Stuart's beautiful box goes to phone number 6749. So if you wouldn't mind going and taking this piece of paper, your new box, and $75 over to Kevin, we'll be very appreciative of it. Thanks everybody for coming. We'll see you all next week. If you have a chance, help put the chairs up, but appreciate everybody being here and missing the first part of the football game day. All right. Thank you all.